I've been listening to you, watching you, reading your material for a while. And as I read your new book, which is titled You Owe You, I still found out parts of the story that I did not
Yeah,
know.
you and me
So
both.
uh, I, I'm curious. You've written plenty of books before. What was in your heart and in your mind to go in this direction with your new book, You Owe You?
I was like, you're not gonna be on earth for long. You know, whatever time span you have is short. What can you leave behind? One of the books that I absolutely loved that I read, because I haven't always been a reader. So the larger the book, the more intimidating for me, was Who Moved My Cheese? And in the book, I thought they did a phenomenal job of teaching those of us who would be a blessing to the world that you gotta lead a blueprint. And the blueprint has to be simple. So if everything I've gone through, it's like, you got to simplify. You 50 something years old. You can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't write a book with everything that happened. You got to simplify it. And when I simplified my life, when I simplified my peace, my prosperity, it was, man, you got to take ownership, bro. Like you owe you. Don't nobody else owe you. And I think, and it's not our fault, but you come into this world and there are a group of individuals who are responsible for you. And unfortunately, depending on what community you are born in, there's not a specific time frame where you are told, yo, people gotta stop being responsible for you. You gotta be responsible for yourself. Like there's no, I grew up in the urban community. There was no sensei that was like, all right, bruh, when you hit 10, mama, it ain't mama responsibility no more. It ain't, you feel me? Like no sensei came in my life and said that. There was no book that told me, yo, here's the time frame. When you hit 9, you gotta start giving away some of the responsibility. And so I grew up not successful and blaming everybody. My mama for having me so young, my daddy for not being in my life, my father my mom married who came in my life. I blame him. You ain't my daddy. You know what I'm saying? And so it was at the point that I took responsibility and my life took off. Like if I go back, oh, ET, you the number one motivational speaker in the world. Where did you first, whatever? I first remember being successful when I was like, yep, this my fault. This when I got out of the window and got in the mirror, everything changed for me, bro.
Yeah, let's talk about the mirror then, because here's the thing: we come into this world. Bible says that we're shaped in iniquity, right? I mean, we come with a certain bent toward not doing the right thing, and one of those things that we come to this world with is self-centeredness. When we're babies, it's all about us, right? We're crying until we get our needs met, and we have to be coached, parented, and molded out of that to some degree as we get older. But then something happens along the way. Sometimes life starts lifing, and it still is about us, but then we begin blaming our current situation on external devices. But now here comes the challenge. Now you want us to get back in the mirror and look at ourselves again. So what's the difference between that thin line between self-centeredness and self-ownership? How do we be careful not to sway on the wrong side of that?
Yeah, two things: motives, right? And one of the things I've realized is that at the center of success is motives. At the center of success is motives. So what's your motive? Like why you doing what you're doing? So if you're in the mirror because you're trying to transform, you're in the mirror because you're trying to grow, stay in the mirror. But if you're in the mirror for the wrong reason, you probably want to come on, get out the mirror. So for me, when I got in the mirror, and bruh, let me just be real. I don't know why I do this. I got to be honest. I shave, right? So I've got the electric voice. So when I travel, I don't have to plug nothing up no more. One of the dangers in not having to plug it up is that you think you can do it without a mirror. Bro, I swear you, bro, on life. I've literally tried to shave. Me in the car, headed somewhere, and I'm like, let me go ahead, save some time. Let me go ahead and shave real quick. And I'm shaving, and bro, I promise you, no sooner than I get to the bathroom at the hotel and I look, I'm like, yo, I miss a spot. Like, bro, I've been with my face for a minute now. I've been shaving for a minute now. Like, how did I miss? But can I be real? I've never shaved in the mirror and missed a spot. I want somebody to catch that. I've never shaved in the mirror and missed. I've never shaved and went outside. And somebody was like, "Hey, you missed a spot." I've only missed a spot when I wasn't in the mirror. That's the only time I've missed a spot. And so I'm telling y'all, we got to be in the mirror. We got to look at we got to reflect. That's what the mirror is all about. You looking at you, and I'm gonna tell you the truth. For me, it was exactly what you said. Life started life. Life started like it. And I start blaming. And I start making it about me. You didn't do this for me, and you didn't do that for me, and you didn't do that for me. And the only reason I stopped doing that is because I did it religiously and I was losing. I was losing. And so I said to myself, yo, E, the only reason you keep doing this is because you doing it. You feel me? I want people to hear what I'm saying. Like, it's something about when we do something, whether it's right or wrong, we're married to it because we doing it. And so it's like, yo, I'm doing it, so it's got to be right. Bruh, life will be like, yep, blame your mama, but you're still homeless. You blame your daddy, but you can keep blaming everybody if you want to, but your mama ain't homeless. Your daddy ain't homeless. You homeless. You eating out of trash can. You scared for your life on the west side of Detroit in a neighborhood you ain't got no business being in an abandoned building. You're not safe or secure. You're losing, Eric. You're losing. And at some point, you got to look at yourself in the mirror and you got to say you're losing, not because your mama got control of this, not because your daddy. You got your heart's desires. You run your life. You by yourself. You making all your own decisions, and you still losing. As a matter of fact, if I want to keep it 1,000, I was losing more outside of my parents' house than I was losing when I was in their crib. And so it was like, yo, E, you gotta stop playing games with yourself. You're losing. You're losing relationships. You're losing opportunities. You're losing. And you probably want to stop blaming other people and you probably want to take ownership. And I'm being real. Taking ownership, like you said, is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. I promise you. When you said it, like, E, why would you have us to go back? Why should we keep Bruh, I promise you, the only time you have control of your life, the only time you have success in your life is when you're going back in the mirror, you're being real with yourself, and you're making the adjustments that you need to make.
Yeah, that's so good. And I reading through your story, you had a good, they would say, reason to be upset, right? The person you trusted the most, you felt like was keeping something from you, and so you built up this resentment that took you on a path to being homeless and fighting your way through life. Some people, if I, for a lack of a better term, some people they battle alcoholism, but they're still functional. They still go to work every day. They still operate at a certain level. So I wonder if there's some people who don't realize how much they are losing because they're functioning through their dysfunction. They're doing okay. They might be doing better than most people in their family, but they're still not operating at an optimal level for who God made them to be. So how do we wake up that person that's still functional? They're not living out their car like you had to endure. They're not eating out of garbage cans like you had to endure, but they're not who God created them to be just yet. How do we wake them up?
Listen to me. That person is functional because you're looking out the window. Just being real. You functional because you comparing yourself. You comparing yourself to others. And so when you compare yourself to your sister, in your brain, you might be doper than your sister. But the reality is, your sister might be doper than you in that she's reaching her full potential. That God gave her 2 gifts. She murdering those 2 gifts. You had 10, and you doing 5. God looking at her like, oh, she got those 2 I gave her. She murdered. You had 10. You only operating in 5. But when you're comparing yourself to other people and other things, you can easily go, oh, I'm functional. Let me be real, because a lot of y'all listening, you're thinking that the transformation that my brother is talking about, you're thinking that transformation was more challenging when I was homeless than it is now. It was way easier to transform. Bruh, it don't take a lot to transform when you homeless in a high school dropout. It ain't like when you got an F, it don't take a lot to go from an F to a doggone C minus. It take a whole lot to go from a B plus to an A plus, bruh. It take a whole lot more to get from a B plus to an A plus. You already getting 80% on test, bruh. You gotta get 100. You gotta get extra credit to make that 88 turn into a 94. It's so the gap is so much smaller. I'm gonna be real with y'all. It's actually harder having a PhD and God saying you still gotta grow. Like that, bruh. When you a high school dropout and you get a GED, you win it. You feel me? You win it. You get a PhD and God say you still ain't reach your level. You still not where I want you to be. This is what happens when you're in the mirror versus you out the window. Now, if I'm out the window, I'm looking at like I got a PhD. Most humans will never get a PhD in their lifetime. I'm winning. I'm in the 1 percentile. I'm winning. God is saying a PhD, you're nowhere close to where I want you to be. You just getting started, son. You just learn how to read. You just learn how to write. You need to learn a second language. Man, God came to me and told me, you the number one what? In the what? You the number one motivational speaker in English speaking. You ain't son, I got Spanish for you. I got Igbo for you. I got French for you. Before you leave this earth, I need you to be able to minister to my people in multiple languages. You ain't doing nothing. Now, if you compare yourself to somebody else, you might be killing the game. But when you compare yourself to what I want you to be and what I call you to be, you hadn't even got started yet. We got more books inside of you. We got a whole lot. We got thousands and thousands of people who you need to change. I was just talking to Inky Johnson. He did a video for me, and Ink was like, "Yo, bro, when you put me on the platform, it took me to a whole nother level." God is like, "How many Inkies are you gonna produce? How many TJs are you gonna? How many Jeremys are you gonna speak life into?" And so it's actually more challenging at this level than it was at the other level. But the mirror is important because as long as you're looking out the window, you have an excuse for not taking it to the next level. When you look in the mirror and you see that you were created in the image of God, you are a creator, and God has way more for you to do. It's revolutionary. So I'd say get in the mirror, stay in the mirror, get out the window, stop comparing yourself to other people. God is not looking for functional; He's looking for phenomenal. When God's looking at himself, he's not looking for functional. He ain't looking for you to be a functional human. That don't do nothing for him. He's looking for phenomenal when he looks at you. And so if you're not phenomenal, you let the creator down. And I don't know about y'all. I just want to hear every day, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Not perfect, not that you perfect, but well done. You have perfect intentions and you're progressing. That's to me, that's more important than being functional.